Eala starts 2026 Australian Open campaign versus Alycia Parks. Eala turns on the heat at the 2026 Australian Open, making her first appearance in the main draw against Alycia Parks. Eala takes a major career step as she opens her 2026 Australian Open campaign against American Alycia Parks in the first round on Monday, January 19th, marking the Filipina's long-awaited main draw debut in Melbourne. Now ranked WTA World number 49, Eala finally broke through after falling short of the main draw in previous years, and she enters the season's first Grand Slam brimming with confidence. Eala is chasing her second career win in a Grand Slam main draw, armed with momentum from a semi-final run at the ASB Classic and a second statement victory over Paris 2024 Olympics silver medalist Donna Vekic at the Kuyang Classic. Standing across the net is Alycia Parks, currently number 100 in the WTA rankings, in what will be the pair's first ever meeting. While Parks has struggled for consistency of late, the powerful American remains a dangerous opponent. She has previously knocked off top 10 players during the 2022 and 2023 seasons, proof of the upside that could surface on any given day. For Eala, the challenge will be balancing poise and aggression against a big-hitting opponent eager to spark a turnaround. With form, ranking, and momentum on her side, the Filipina hopes her Melbourne debut becomes another milestone in a rapidly rising career. With reports from Luisa Morales. Editor's note: this article was written by a member of the One Sports Digital with the help of AI, and then checked by the staff to ensure accuracy. A Melbourne dawn, Eala begins her 2026 Australian Open journey. The sun rose gently over Melbourne Park, casting a pale gold shimmer across the blue courts, as if the city itself were holding its breath. January in Australia always carried a sense of promise, but this morning felt different. This was not just another opening round at the Australian Open. This was the first chapter of Eala's 2026 campaign, and across the net stood Alycia Parks, a storm of power and presence, waiting to test how far belief could stretch. Eala walked through the tunnel with a calm that had been earned, not borrowed. Years ago, she had been the prodigy, the headline that spoke of potential and possibility. Now she was something else entirely. A player shaped by long matches, by losses that burned and wins that taught restraint. The racket in her hand felt familiar, almost conversational, as if it knew the language of her ambition. The Australian Open had always been a place of beginnings. Careers had been announced here, legends humbled, and dreams rewritten under the harsh honesty of the summer sun. For Alex, Melbourne was not merely a destination, it was a proving ground. She had come not to surprise anyone, but to confirm what she had been building quietly, patiently. Across the court, Alycia Parks bounced on her toes, her shadow stretching long and sharp against the baseline. Parks was power distilled into human form, serves that cracked like thunder, groundstrokes that demanded respect rather than negotiation. She was a reminder that modern tennis did not wait for poetry. It demanded force. It demanded courage. And it punished hesitation. The crowd settled into that peculiar Australian Open hush, the one that comes just before the first ball is struck. Somewhere in the stands, flags fluttered. Somewhere else, a young player watched and dreamed. Alex stood at the baseline, eyes steady, breath slow. The moment did not rush her. She had learned how to stay. The first serve of the match flew from Parks' racket like a challenge thrown into the open air. It landed deep, unreturnable, a statement made in one clean motion. Aces were Parks' way of saying hello. Alex nodded slightly, as if acknowledging the truth of it. Power existed. She did not deny it. She simply prepared to respond. When Alex finally found her rhythm, it was not loud. It did not announce itself with fireworks. It came in angles, in early preparation, in feet that seemed to glide just enough to make space where none should exist. Her forehand traced lines that bent time, arriving a fraction earlier than expected, asking Parks to move, to think, to doubt. Rallies grew longer. The sun climbed higher. Sweat told its own story, streaking determination across both players' faces. Alycia Parks pushed forward, flattening shots, stepping inside the baseline with intent. Alex answered with variation, dipping balls low, changing pace, pulling her opponent wide before threading the needle down the line. This was the contrast that made the match compelling. Power versus precision. Force versus feel. Yet it was never that simple. Alex, too, could strike with venom when the moment called for it. And Parks, for all her strength, showed surprising touch at the net, finishing points with soft hands that defied expectation. Between points, Alex glanced briefly toward her box. There was no dramatic gesture, no outward show of nerves. What lived inside her was quieter and stronger, the memory of mornings spent training when no one watched, of losses that had taught humility, of victories that had demanded gratitude rather than celebration. This match was not a test of talent. It was a test of trust in her own process. As the set unfolded, momentum shifted like tide and wind. Parks surged ahead with a flurry of winners, the crowd responding instinctively to raw power. Alex absorbed the pressure, refusing to be hurried into mistakes. She broke back with a return game built on patience, reading the serve, stepping in just enough to redirect pace rather than match it. Each game felt like a small story. A long deuce battle where Alex saved break points with fearless second serves. A service game from Parks that ended with a rare double fault, the human edge peeking through the armor. Tennis, at this level, was never about perfection. It was about managing imperfection better than the person on the other side. The noise in the stadium swelled as the set tightened. Melbourne crowds had a reputation for fairness, and they rewarded courage wherever they saw it. When Alex chased down a seemingly lost ball and flicked a passing shot past Parks at the net, the applause rose not as shock, but as recognition. This was why she belonged here. The physical battle was obvious, but the psychological one ran deeper. Parks pressed harder, searching for quick points, for relief from the long exchanges. Alex leaned into the grind, using time as her ally. Between serves, she slowed her routine just enough to reset, to remind herself that the match was played 1 point at a time, not in highlights. As the final games of the opening set approached, the air seemed heavier. The sun was unforgiving now, and both players bore its weight. In that heat, Alex's composure became her quiet weapon. She did not rush to finish points that asked to be built. She did not flinch when Parks painted lines. Whether the set tipped one way or the other felt almost secondary to what was being established. Eala was not here to survive. She was here to compete, to challenge, to insist on her place in the conversation of the tournament. When the set ended, the scoreboard recorded the numbers, but it could not capture the meaning. It could not show the way Alex had met power with intelligence, nor how she had accepted being tested without shrinking. This was only the first round, yes, but first rounds have a way of revealing truths.